Good afternoon, and welcome to 7 Things Your College Professor Wants You to Know. I'm Kathy Mueller, Executive Director of Mapping Your Future. Mapping Your Future is a public service nonprofit organization. We provide college, career, financial aid, and financial literacy information and services free to students and families at mappingyourfuture.org. If you're a parent or a current or future college student, you can find information and resources on our website to help you prepare for college. The information that I provide in today's session comes in part from the Mapping Your Future website. It also includes information I've received from my husband, who's a college professor, his colleagues, and some of my own friends who are college professors. I've also monitored discussions, trends, and other research about what makes students successful. So during today's presentation, I'll be addressing some information to students that are attending today's session, but hopefully everyone will be able to use the tips in one way or another. So our first tip today is to see the big picture. When we talk about the big picture, we're discussing the overall plan for your college education and in turn your life. Now granted, at 17 or 18, there's no way that you can predict every twist or turn that your life may take or how your interests can change over time. But you should have an idea of what you want to accomplish in college and also in life. Otherwise, going to college is just a way to fill time. That's really not good for you. It's not good for other students. It's not good for your parents who may be paying for your college education. And it's also not good for society. Society in general that may be helping support your education if you're going to a publicly funded institution, and also society that's dependent on an educated workforce. So how does each class or activity fit into your larger goals? A professor is not just concerned with their own class and how you do in that class, but also they're concerned about the big picture, and they want that class to be meaningful to you. And to do that, it really needs to fit in with your future plans. For you, if you have an understanding of what this class means to you, then you'll likely be more focused and do better in the class. So how do you get there? Well, in order to understand what every class or every activity means to you and means to your larger goals, then you really should have a college plan. A plan for your education may seem unnecessary. You'll just go to school and get an education, right? Or you may have an idea of what you want to do in your head. You may be aware of what you want, but you've never written it down. And do you need to write it down? Well, it could work okay if you don't write it down, but you may end up with a college degree that doesn't fit your interests or skills. And by developing an education plan or a plan for college, you're getting your dreams down on paper. And that's really the first step in accomplishing your life goals. So what are some of the things in an educational plan? Well, first of all, you need a mission statement. What do you want to achieve ultimately? It might be a good idea to review some of your goals and priorities to figure out your mission. In addition, you might want to include a personal inventory. What do you do best? What skills, what talents do you have, and how does that match up with your mission? That personal inventory is also a great list for you to have available when you're filling out scholarship applications or when you're filling out college admission applications. So personal inventory can be a big asset to you. You also want to include any research that you might have done. What kinds of career fields that match your interests? What research have you done on those? What's the long-term outlook for those career fields and the possible jobs in that career field? And then what are the requirements for those careers that might match your skills and interests? Also, any college plan should include a list of important dates. So, for instance, if you're in high school right now, you want to include any important dates that you need to take note of in your junior year, like testing dates, or senior year, again, like testing dates or college admission deadlines or scholarship application deadlines. And then finally, it's very important, of course, to have a financial plan. How are you going to pay for your college education? Do you have any money saved up? Will you be eligible for any scholarships? And if you're in high school, you want to make sure that that plan includes the dates that you need to file any scholarship application, and complete the federal application, the pre-application for federal student aid, the FAFSA. So that financial plan is an important part of any college plan. So tip number 2 is to read the syllabus. Any professor is going to tell you that's the most important thing about knowing about his class or her class. College professors do spend hours working on the syllabus for their class. It's considered a contract between the student and the professor, and in some states it's really recognized as a contract. So some professors will even include a signature page with the syllabus, and they'll ask that you sign it and return it to indicate that you have read the syllabus. Then if there's any confusion later on, both of you can refer back to the syllabus to answer any questions. The syllabus includes a lot of important information, so it's really important that you read it carefully and that you keep that syllabus in your files or in your notebook for the class. If you ever do lose it, of course, most professors keep a version of the syllabus online, but it's always handy to have a copy with you at all times. The syllabus will include a course description. Now, that's maybe something that you've already seen when you registered for the class, but it also may include some additional information such as the learning goals for the class, and all of that is important, to help you understand how this class fits into your overall college goals, that college plan that we just talked about. It'll also include other important information that's critical to the success of the class. In other words, what kinds of course materials that you need to have to succeed, your course assignments and the deadline dates for those course assignments, the professor's attendance, grading, and exam policies. And finally, something I consider very important is the contact information. How do you contact that professor or possibly teaching assistants for that class if you need any assistance or need to contact them for any reason? Now, the syllabus is important if you have to miss any class. And so that really leads us to tip number 3 of what professors want you to know, and that's really to attend the class. If you don't attend class, you may be missing out on some important information. So, for example, exam dates. Even though that is listed in the syllabus, things can change for whatever reason. You want to make sure that you attend class to get all of the information that you need. In order for you to get the most from your class, you need to be actively involved in it, whether it's in person or online. You need to be a part of the class. Now, I have a son and daughter who are teenagers right now, and I often tell them that their job right now is really to go to school. Their job is their schoolwork. While you may have a life outside of school, and that's important, like family and community activities and maybe even a part-time job, the main priority right now for you should be school, especially if you want to attend college. And maybe you need to treat school like a job, as if it were your job. So, for example, if you're treating it like a job, you need to be well rested and ready to go every day, and be there in class and focus and listen to the professor. It's also important that you are engaged, participate in the conversations and the discussions, and in some cases, of course, many classes have participation as part of the grade for the class. It's also important to avoid any distractions while you're in the class. So that may include leaving your cell phone, laptop, or tablet at home. So and there may be some classes where you need your laptop or your tablet, but if those devices aren't needed in the class, I'd recommend that you turn them off or not even bring them to class. There are just too many distractions with notifications and alerts from social media and the constant reminders of email arriving in your inbox. How many times have you looked at your phone or tablet or sat down to work at your computer and you got so lost in what you were doing you didn't know what was going on around you or didn't realize how much time had passed? And even if you haven't done it, you may have seen other people almost walk in front of traffic when they were looking at their cell phone. They were so engrossed in the cell phone. If our electronics are so distracting that we get hit by a car, then, how can we learn in the classroom if we're surfing during the professor's lecture? So just a reminder to make sure that there aren't distractions during the classroom and those distractions being caused by any kind of electronic device. And then, of course, do the homework. Professors assign homework really to help you meet the learning objectives of the class. The homework is very important and the reading assignments are very important. So don't take those lightly. And a lot of professors, of course, include those as part of the grade. So don't depend on your grades on the test necessarily to get you through the class if you're not doing the homework. Especially the homework may also be a building block for the test. So by doing the homework, in essence, you're really preparing for any of the exams like the midterm exam or the final exam. And speaking of doing homework, you don't want to procrastinate in doing your homework, and that's tip number 4 for us today. And when we talk about procrastinating, we can't mistake being busy for making forward progress. I think this is a tough one for everyone, procrastination. Everybody has probably a little bit of a procrastinator in them for a variety of reasons. In some cases, we're so overwhelmed with an assignment that we just don't know where to begin. Or we want it to be perfect. And so we're so afraid to start because we're afraid it won't be perfect when we get it done. And then also, in some cases, we may think that the assignment is a really easy one and that we can put it off because we can fit it in later and get it done quickly. So just as there's a lot of reasons for procrastination and they differ from person to person, what works to avoid procrastination really just depends on every person. It's really different for everyone. So, here's some tips that have worked for other people and that may work for you. First of all, prioritize. Put first things first. You can use your calendar to keep track of deadlines or class or work schedules, any dates when anything is due or important activities. Meeting deadlines for applications and other activities become increasingly important when you're in college. They can really make or break you. And so you really need to find a way to keep track of any deadlines and make sure that you're putting a priority on things that are most important and that help you succeed in college. Keep a list. You really can't remember everything that you need to do in your head. Most people can't anyway. And so it's really important that you make a list of everything that you need to do. And I like to keep lists and check those lists off, of course, as I complete things during the day. But getting it down on paper is really important. And it's also nice at the end of the day that you can look at that list and check off all of your accomplishments from the day. It really serves as a motivation to make another list for the next day. So I think it's really important to get everything down on paper. It also gives you a good big picture view of the things that you need to accomplish in one day's time. Use the buddy system. I recommend having a family member or a friend check in and see how you're doing on an assignment, or maybe even send you text reminders. There may be some services out there that can send you text reminders on things that you need to complete. You may also have an electronic system on your phone that can kind of remind you of things that you need to complete by certain dates. Also, schedule time for studying or getting your assignment done. It's important, I think, to make an appointment with yourself, so to speak, and really, if you've got a big assignment coming up, schedule a couple of hours to work on that assignment and spend time working on that assignment. Also, know when you work best. Know yourself. When is your peak performance? I myself am a morning person. I like to work in the morning, and so that's when I get most of my work accomplished. But other family members in my household, some of them like to work at night, and they get more done during the night. So really, you need to tackle your most demanding assignments when you're at your peak performance. And if you do have something to do, and you just don't have enough time or energy to complete it, try doing just a little bit of it before you go to bed for the night, or at least doing one thing on it, and at least it'll move you forward, and it'll give you that sense of accomplishment that you're making progress on that assignment. And also, you might find out that it's actually a little bit easier to get the project completed once you get started. Our next tip is to try new things. So how will you ever know that you like something if you don't try it out? Now, college is a great opportunity for you to expand your horizons. No one ever enters college and is the same person when they graduate. But if you limit yourself by sticking only to those things you enjoyed in high school, you're going to miss out on a lot of opportunities. Granted, college is expensive, and so you don't want to take a lot of classes that you don't need. But nearly every college program requires that you take classes in other fields, and it's a great way to determine your level of interest in those other fields. So when taking electives, make sure that you take a wide variety. For example, in my college program, I was a communications major, but I was required to take 12 hours of science. So I took chemistry and meteorology and 2 biology classes. Although I wasn't a science major, I did enjoy the classes, and I used some of what I learned in those classes later in my career. So the next tip for us is to ask for advice. And no one really has all the answers. So, you really shouldn't expect that you'll be able to do everything and know everything the minute that you walk into your first college class. But just as with any experience in life, it's good to talk to other people, especially if they've been through something similar. For example, if you're struggling in the class, even though you've kept up with all the assignments, be sure to talk to the professor. When I took that chemistry class that I mentioned earlier, I remember sitting in the class the second or third day and feeling totally lost. It wasn't my area of expertise. It wasn't part of my talents or skills or interests, but I did need the class. I felt like the professor was speaking another language and that he and the other students understood it, but I was totally clueless. So I needed that class to graduate. I talked to the professor, and I was really pleasantly surprised by his reaction. He was very, very helpful. He gave me his phone number and said to call him if I have questions while I'm doing the homework. And he also introduced me to other students in the class, some of whom who were doing very well, and then other students who were struggling like me. And so we formed a study group, and we met after class because chemistry was a tough course for some of us. We met after class and worked through the assignments, and then we were prepared when we received when it was time for the midterm exams and the final. So it was really something that was very important to me, was to talk to the professor and get that help I needed. And as a result, I did well in the class and learned some things about chemistry, and I graduated on time. So all those were good results from just talking to the professor. But having trouble in a class, or second thoughts about your major, or problems with a roommate, you really need to find someone to talk to. There's probably a lot of people who will have some good and sympathetic advice for you, like your parents or your grandparents or a friend. You can also, though, reach out to somebody at the college or university that you're attending. Many of the administrators on campus know the resources to get help if you need help, and so it's really important that you talk to the professor or talk to an administrator there on campus. And If you need academic help or other kind of help, they'll know the resources on campus that can help you. Other tips, like I said, is to form a study group and talk to your parents or siblings about any kind of experiences that you're having that they may have been through, and then also, of course, to find other resources on the campus. So our tip number 7 today is to enjoy your education. And college is a great opportunity, and while you need to be focused and work at it, you really also should have some fun. And so it's really important that you find some balance in your life. It's too bad that we can't do everything. Even with positive new opportunities, there's added responsibilities and time commitments. So you really shouldn't weigh yourself down too much. Be realistic. You can decide, you need to decide what's best for you to participate in now and what you may want to wait on until later. Some ideas for balancing your life in college is to remember why you're there. You're there to get an education. So anything that you do really should help you work towards that goal. As we talked about earlier, have you scheduled a couple of hours for studying every day? That will help you keep a balance in your college life. You may need more than 2 hours if it's a particularly tough class, or possibly even less if it's one of the classes that's an easy assignment for you. If you have activities that keep you busy at night, you may have too much going on. So you need to think about planning social activities for the weekend or on your days off from school. And remember, as we talked about earlier, it's really important to be well rested and to get plenty of rest when you're out of class so that you'll be able to stay awake when you are in class. You may want to think about an internship. It's a great opportunity for you to get real world experience. But before you do that, you want to make sure that it fits well with your college major or what you hope to accomplish, your mission in life. And then you also need to think about the hours and whether that fits realistically with your schedule and how that will impact your studying and other academic activities. If your schedule is really busy during the academic year, you might want to consider a summer internship instead. The college years really are very exciting times. It's a chance for you to exercise your independence, meet new friends, experience new things, and prepare for the future. But when you're experiencing college life, you need to make sure that you keep your future in mind as well. So make good decisions about all of your activities. I would recommend that you don't participate or experiment in any activities that could put you at risk or threaten your future. It's really important that you make right choices all along the way while you're in college. So one of the things that I did not include as a tip today, but I just wanted to mention this, is that I think, and it wasn't from a professor, but something that I wanted to mention to you, and that is to be sure to thank your professors for what they're doing. Many of them do work hard and work long hours, and they want to make sure that they're having an impact on their students. So if you attend a class that you've really enjoyed or that has had an impact on your life, you should really talk to the professor and let them know that. I know myself, one of my biggest regrets is not thanking a professor for a class that I took. I took Shakespeare when I was in college, and I didn't know much about Shakespeare before that class, and I think I still have a lot to learn, but I really enjoyed that class, and it has really opened up a new area of enjoyment for me because I've really grown and it's enriched my life by taking his class. It was a lot of fun. He really helped me understand Shakespeare, and so I wish that I could go back and find him and thank him for that class. And so it was really one of my biggest regrets is not thanking him for how much of a difference that he's made in my life by the fact that he's opened this world of Shakespeare to me. So I do recommend that you say thank you to the professors, let them know what you like about their classes, and not only will they appreciate it, but also it can be very gratifying to you as well. So with that, I really want to wish you the best of luck in your college experience. And also I want to remind you that at any time you can visit mappingyourfuture.org to get information and guidance on colleges, careers, financial aid, and financial literacy information and services. You can also reach out to us on any of these social media channels. And finally, you can also contact us at any time by emailing me at Kathy@mappingyourfuture.org. And I see that we do have a couple of questions, and the first question is, when should I consider whether to drop a class or not? So if you're struggling in a class, whether you should drop that class or not. I think there are probably a couple of factors that you need to consider if you're thinking about dropping a class that you've been enrolled in. And really there are two. There are practical considerations about dropping a class, and there are personal considerations about dropping a class. And the first one is, the practical question is whether or not you've met the deadline. Every school has a drop/add deadline, so you want to keep that in mind. Especially on the first day of class, if you're not sure about that class, check the drop/add deadline to make sure that you meet those, because that can have financial and academic consequences for you. Secondly, do you need the class? And you need the class for your college major. That might be something you want to consider before you think about dropping it. So those are some of the practical considerations. And then personally, some of the things you need to think about is, your own tolerance for any kind of uncertainty or risk. Are you okay with not getting an A in that class? If you are, then perhaps that is, something that you want to consider, and you may want to go ahead and take that class. So another question that we received today is, if my school, if it's not a good idea to get a job while you're in school, should I consider one at all? And actually, I think, that if your work is your school, that you should consider a part-time job. I think actually it's a good thing for a lot of students. Not only does it help you fund your education, it can also be a great opportunity for you to get some job experience. And then also, it's an opportunity for you to make some connections, especially if it's in your chosen career field. The one thing I'll say about getting a job, though, is you want to make sure you don't let it overwhelm you, that you limit the number of hours, and you also try to find something either on campus or close to campus so that you don't have a lot of travel time. So it's really important that if you are considering a job, which there are a lot of good reasons to have a job while you're in college, just make sure that you don't let it overwhelm you. And that's all the questions that we have today. So I want to thank everyone who attended today. And again, you can reach me at Kathy@mappingyourfuture.org. Thank you.